My Bodyguard is a 1980 film directed by Tony Bill. This is written by Alan Ormsby and it stars Chris Makepeace as Clifford. We have Adam Baldwin as Linderman, Matt Dillon as Moody. And this came on my radar because of George Wendt. He plays a character called Air Conditioning Engineer. I'll let you guess what his job is in this. He's in it very briefly, but I was happy with that. The film itself, I think, had some really great character development, but I didn't love the actual narrative. I think it's a nice idea and it's generally well executed. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine, but I was surprised to see that it has 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and that's across 11,000 reviews and ratings. It seems to be one that's very popular. I haven't read any reviews, so I don't know exactly why that is. I'm going to guess it's because of the characters and some messages in this. I don't want to give away too much about that, but I will in a moment to talk about what it's about. But the point there is that while I think it's okay with some good moments, it does generally seem to be more positively received than my experience with it. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. If it sounds like it would appeal to you, check it out. There is apparently a very good chance you'll enjoy it more than I did. This is about a kid who starts a new school called Clifford Peache, and he's being bullied by these kids who say that they will actually be their bodyguard if they pay them, I think it was $1 a day. And that's kind of a way of saying, well, we'll stop bullying you and we'll protect you if you pay us, which is not a nice thing. But Clifford actually wants to make friends with a character called Ricky Linderman. And Linderman is basically the most feared kid in school. Why is that the case? I'm not going to say. I'm not going to give anything away. We do find out initially that there are a lot of rumours about why he is this terrifying kid. But Clifford actually wants to get to know him. And as the film develops, we learn a lot more about Linderman. And I really don't want to say any more than that, but I will say that the character is very well written. He is very likable in a lot of ways. And he is a very troubled character. And it's really fascinating to get to know him, to spend more time with him. But it's not as if it's a plain sailing experience for any of the characters. And things are potentially quite violent, quite threatening, particularly towards Clifford. And the role that Linderman plays in Clifford's life is really fascinating, and I really enjoyed watching those characters interact. I really liked what Linderman brought to the story, but I'll say no more about his character other than he's a very, very well-written character with a really fascinating backstory. And that's the extent of it. There is, of course, a little bit more here and there, but I think it's a narrative that works really well. I don't have any complaints about the specifics of the narrative, the messages, the characters. The characters are wonderfully written and the performances are brilliant, but I found it to be repetitive. We do get character progression, and actually the character progression is one of the things that kept me engaged with the film, but the specifics of the narrative are kind of repetitive and kind of slow, and that's the bit that I think is why I was kind of surprised by this exceptionally positive overall rating, because while I think there are a lot of good things about the film, namely the characters, I think the narrative wasn't perfect. So for me, I came away from this thinking it was a good film, generally well executed, but with room for improvement in terms of the actual narrative. But the messages, the characters, all of that brilliantly done. So I can see the argument for it being a really good film, but I still don't necessarily agree with that high rating. And that's unusual because I'm usually more positive than the ratings on IMDb. But nevertheless, I do recommend it if it sounds like it would appeal to you, and it does seem to be better received than my experience with it, even though I did enjoy it. So that can only be a good thing in the film's favour. And if you're a George Wendt fan, you'll enjoy the couple of seconds of George Wendt that we get. So pretty happy with that. No, I don't imagine I'll watch it a second time. But as a one-time watch, I thought My Bodyguard was a pretty decent film. And if it sounds like it would appeal to you, I'd say it's one that's worth watching.